Well, what's going on, folks? It's another episode of On the DELO. I'm coming at you a little bit strong because it's morning. It is my time to be energized. As my wife would say, I just annoy the piss out of her in the morning. She needs like an hour and a half of coffee time and getting her bearings upon her. As I've reached my 50s, I've decided that 4 o'clock is supper time, which is great. We don't really stray from that. I've also decided that 8 o'clock, sometimes sooner, my wife would say a lot sooner, is bedtime. And I jump into bed with the dogs, and we just have a dreamy night, right? I will also say that as I get older, whenever I don't have to wake up to take a piss, that's a huge victory. And I don't know why I'm tracking or why I feel like this is, the way of the health or however I want to interpret this, but I just enjoy sleeping all the way through and not having to go to the bathroom. Now, if I do have to get up, it's usually once, sometimes twice, but I can still go right back to bed. So it's definitely a superpower. It's definitely something that I didn't anticipate this happening in my 50s. But I feel good and all is wonderful. So this is podcast 154 podcasts now. I'm trying to get these out every Monday to be strategic so that you guys have something to listen to. If you're into this, if you're into my voice, if you're into whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm trying to give some added value and just some entertainment and something for you to listen to quickly to start your week off. So I'm calling this podcast Why I Divorced Running and I Married Walking. Yes. So as I got married to my wife, I was an avid runner. And that was one of the things that we absolutely loved doing together. We met kind of running and doing running stuff and things like that. We actually ran a half marathon together out in Chicago, which was probably my worst half marathon ever. It was brutal. If you can imagine Chicago in the summertime with the humidity and the weather and all the things that were going on, just absolutely horrendous. And so we definitely share some memories and we share a lot of, let's just say, a lot of just talking points through our life of things that we did and why we traveled and we went to go do certain races and all that. And it was fun, don't get me wrong. So before we jump into all of that, I do want to, again, self-promote my book here, Reignite Your Spark, just getting started. As you know, as we get older, we find things that we stopped doing a long time ago when we were kids, teenagers, even adults, and I wrote this book for the aspect of finding those things again that you really enjoyed, that you let go of, and going, wow, maybe I should relook at doing some of this stuff again. So like an example would be just any of your hobbies. For me it was music. I gave up music for a long time. Now I take guitar lessons every week. I really enjoy it. It's about actually living your life and not being, just in everybody else's schedule and having to adhere to what it is that they feel like you need to adhere to. No, this is about you reigniting your spark and going out and finding your schedule and the things that you want to do. So that's the start. And then also, Jeremy, Scott, and I have the Built Different Mastermind. That is going really well. We have a whole community that's built. The community to be a part of is free. We've got some coaching that is not free because Jeremy and I are giving decades of information. We're giving you a blueprint. We're giving you a cheat code on just life in general, but starting, running, optimizing your business, your life, all that sort of stuff, and learning from all the trials and tribulations and the mistakes and the victories and all the things that Jeremy and I have been able to put together, and we're still learning as seasoned veterans of getting our ass kicked in the business world. We want to be able to build this together and build it with a bunch of people that are just, wanting to take their businesses and their lives to the next level. And we've got some great guys in there now. I say guys because it's all men, but this is open for women as well. Some guys over a year now, and it's great to watch them grow and prosper and all that. And I have several business coaches myself. I know Jeremy's had business coaches in the past, if not now, and they've done nothing but help. And the thing is that this is all about what you make of it. All about what you make of it. It's not, get rich quick scheme. No, it's here's the template, follow it to what resonates with you, and go kick some ass. So, Built Different Mastermind, I will put a link in the bio, or I'll put a link in the description here. If you do just want to reach out to me on Instagram at I am the DELO, I can give you more information there, but we're excited for that. And I'm going to drink my Magic Mind. Yes, I still am drinking this Magic Mind. I have them auto ship it to me. It is an amazing little boost of energy with mushrooms, and it doesn't taste like mushrooms. It tastes like a really good green juice, but it just gives me that extra little kick while I'm also drinking my coffee because I'm a coffee addict. So cheers. Good as always. Okay, so let's jump into the podcast. Let's talk about running. Running to me was my escape. It was one of those, all of you that run, you know that this is your time alone. It's your time to go and meditate while you move. In essence, I think a lot of us come up with our best ideas. We come up with our best thoughts of where we want to go, where we're at. And in the moment, what's so funny is I forget half the stuff that I think about while I'm running because there's just so many thoughts that come in and out. I remember in Atlanta where I basically learned to run. So there's a group of kids up the street. They were all brothers. Their names are the McGuires. We're still friends to this day. I mean, we're 45 years of friendship. That's pretty crazy. And I'm on a text thread with these guys. They still run. I don't, spoiler alert. But they got me into running at a very young age. I was probably 6 years old. And I remember just that camaraderie and that sense of community and the enjoyment that it just gave me. And at a very young age, when I bought my first yellow Walkman, remember those Walkmans? You put the cassette tapes in, you have to flip them over. And then we had, we didn't have earbuds that were wireless. We had the wire earbuds or the wire headphones. And I had a strap and I put that yellow Walkman in my hand, throw a little Def Leppard in there, a little Van Halen, whatever the taste of the day was. And I'd just go out and I would literally escape any sort of reality. Now as a kid, things aren't that bad, right? Especially if you're growing up in a good family environment in a great neighborhood. And I had the best neighborhood. This neighborhood in Roswell, Georgia was just lush and green and hilly. Oh, lots of hills. I love the hills. I love going up the hills. The hills were so steep that you would almost come to a walk, but walking was never an option. No, I would hit Six Branches. Six Branches was one of the neighborhoods inside of the large neighborhood. So we had this large neighborhood called Martin's Landing, and Martin's Landing was just cool, right? It had the soccer fields, it had a couple pools, it had places, woods. Yeah, we don't have that in Arizona. Well, we do up north, but in Phoenix, we don't have what's called woods, right? Where we'd build forts and go catch crawdads in the stream, go fishing, all that sort of stuff. So the big neighborhood, Martin's Landing, was really cool because it had a circle road that went all around. It was Martin's Landing Drive, I believe it was. And I believe that circle was about 4 miles, 4.2 miles. And of course you would go in different areas, but one of the sub neighborhoods was called Six Branches, and Six Branches Drive was huge. It was like if you put your treadmill on a 15, that's the hill that you were running up. And it was always one of those things where it was always like a challenge within myself at like 8, 9 years old to run up that hill without stopping, right? And then what was cool is that you would have the downhill, and I'm not even sure what was more difficult, the uphill or the downhill, but as you if you are out there and you're a runner, you know going downhill can really just pound away at your knees and your joints and all that. And as a kid, I didn't care. I just flailed down that thing, my arms all over the place, this and that, just to get down. And we would have races and try and figure out who could do the loop the fastest. But it was great because I would just listen to my music, and I was always into my 80s music, as you know, if you know me and you listen to this podcast. So I'm grateful for that beginning of time and that start. And McGuire's and I, we'd run all the time, and then we started getting into races. There was a big race out in Atlanta, Georgia, called the Peachtree Road Race. Still goes on today. And I probably ran about 15 of those in a row. I remember I ran my first Peachtree Road Race at like 9 years old, I want to say. And the fire hydrant was squirting out water on people, because this is 4th of July in Atlanta. Again, really humid, really toasty. And I remember running too close to the fire hydrant, not understanding how like light I was. I was probably $120, something like that. I was a skinny kid. And the water just hit my legs and flipped me, right, while I'm running. And lo and behold, now, mind you, this race had like 40,000 people. It's still one of the largest, if not the largest 10K in, the world. And this was one of my first races. My parents were so nervous. They did not, I think they were just like not really inclined to let me go do it, but I had to go do it. The McGuires were doing it. This was it. And you wanted to get that coveted t-shirt. At the time, they didn't have like those medals that they give you, which I was going to show my medals on the YouTube channel here, but I just didn't want to dig it all out. I mean, I got hundreds of clank, 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 all those sorts of things. So back in the day, you would keep your race number, because that was kind of cool, and you would get the coveted Peachtree Road Race t-shirt. It was all about the t-shirt at the end of the day. And that's why I wanted to go do it. I wanted to go run that 6.2 miles in the middle of Atlanta. So I get knocked down by this fire hydrant, and this guy that my parents knew, that I knew obviously, came and swooped me up. He happened to be behind me, I guess maybe keeping an eye on me, who knows, or just a guardian angel. Swooped me up, got me back on my feet, and boom, off I went. Like nothing. When you're 9, you're pretty much a Rubbermaid, right? You just bounce like Gumby off the road and keep going. So I got addicted, like many of us do get addicted to sports. Now people are getting addicted to pickleball, right? There's always something new. And I think running at the time when I first started, it wasn't quite, I know it wasn't quite as popular yet, but it was getting popular. It was one of those things. And I just got, I got myself down to being able to run 6-minute miles. I got very competitive. I did a lot of trail runs. When I ended up moving out here to Arizona, would religiously do all the trail runs and have like almost would have a competitive season with the same people I'd see all the time. And I just love the sense of community. I love the endorphins that it brought out to me. I love the fact that I felt like I was, doing this to be in shape. I built some great legs. But I was not in the best shape of my life, believe it or not, as a runner, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And again, this is not a podcast against running whatsoever. This is just something about my story and now what works for me. If you're still running and you love it and that's your sense of exercise, I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. Keep doing what you do, enjoy it. And the thing is like, moving your body is always going to be a lot better than being stationary, than sitting on your ass, right? So if you want to move it quick, or if you want to move it a little bit slower, just move your body, right? I'm a firm believer in that. A still body is a dead body. So my story about running, again, the endorphins were incredible. The amount of people that I got to meet through the years, the events, the things to look forward to. I would literally go to a race because I was so competitive, and I would get nervous beforehand. And I would also, I would get upset if I didn't get the time that I was looking to get, or if I didn't beat somebody, or if something didn't go my, it was absolutely ridiculous. But that's just how I'm built. Type A, human nature, right? We just We do those things. So if you would have told me 10 years ago I would divorce myself from running, I probably would have just laughed and said, yeah, I'm a runner. I mean, just ask my wife. I had gotten to the point where I'd gotten a running coach in my 40s, and I wanted to try to compete with these guys that were way faster than me, way better than me, it was bad. And I was up to about 40 miles a week. Even when I was tired and exhausted, I would still run. My body was aching. I just had so much inflammation. I wasn't losing the weight that I wanted to lose. I was in a running rut, right? And it wasn't working for me anymore. It wasn't resonating for me anymore. And so, that being said, it was still really hard to quit because I didn't want to be a quitter, right? None of us wants to be quitters. And I ended up running during the beginning of COVID. So let's see, 2020, right? When all that shit went down. So March, right when everything started shutting down, I was out for a run, and I'm running 6-minute miles. I'm just feeling anxious because of everything going on, listening to some heavy metal, doing my thing. But man, I was like breathing hard. I'm coughing. I just like, I come home, my wife's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I have a sinus infection. She's like, oh, really? Every time I get sick, it's a sinus infection. It's sinuses. If she's listening to this, she'll laugh. And the sinus infection was not getting better. My ass was laid down on the couch. I was not feeling good. Took some Benadryl. Still not feeling good. Went and got one of the first blood test, I guess you would call it. And as I go get the test, a few days later, I get the results back, and it's like, oh, congratulations, you have COVID-19. And at the time, it's like, you don't know what that means. You're just kind of like, okay, wow. I had gone running while I was sick, right? So it took me like 2 weeks to recover. This was not fun. My whole respiratory system was just whacked. And I just, at that point, was like, I don't think I've ever run again, honestly. Now, when I say ever run again, of course I go run at Metcon. I'll run short little sprints here or there. I'll do sprinting work, stuff like that. But that's pretty much when I had divorced running. What are we, 2025? So, it's a good 5 years, coming up 5 years now. And I never looked back. I was kind of like, I need to figure something new out. My body just wasn't craving it anymore. Just didn't want to do it. So I started hiking a little bit more. I started actually just going into the mountains and in silence and meditating and looking around and seeing stuff. And a lot of times I did enjoy trail running too, especially in my neighborhood. A lot of times when I'd run, I wouldn't be able to enjoy anything around me. I couldn't even tell you what was around me. I could tell you exactly where every rock was on the trail because I had to pay attention to not destroy myself. But I just found this new love, and it was a love of being in the moment and enjoying the presence of nature and just thought in a way that was just so different. I didn't feel the stress on my joints. I didn't feel sore all the time. I didn't feel inflamed. I was like, this is kind of cool. And I realized that walking was going to become my new superpower. Now, I didn't really subscribe to all this 10,000 steps a day in the very beginning. I didn't even see any of that or research any of that, but now I'm a true avid believer in that. Sometimes I'm a little bit, again, type A, here it comes, and my wife just shakes her head. Again, I'm going to have my wife on the podcast here soon, and we'll have fun. But 10,000 steps not enough, so I'd get up to 18 and 20,000. You can always push anything, even if it's walking, to a limit of no return, and I don't suggest that either. But I will say the thing about walking and why I love it now is that I just go from beast mode to best mode, and you can still be a beast, but you can be the best at it, right? And you can be strategic and smart. And so with my routine to run multiple businesses, have employees, care for my family, do all the things that I do, I have to really be smart about my time and where I'm going, what I'm doing. And so when you go on a walk, you can walk anywhere. So I walk when I go on conference calls. I walk in the morning with my dog, first thing that I do now, and she gets something out of it, right? And I'm spending time with her. My wife will go with us sometimes. I'll walk both dogs. So I'm getting steps in, I'm getting movement, I'm getting exercise. I walk when if I'm here at the office and I need to walk over the Whole Foods, I'll walk over there 2-3 times sometimes a day just to walk. I'll just walk through the store, And every day religiously, I'm about 11,000 steps. I know I'm getting that movement in. I'm feeling good. I have a standing desk, so I'm never standing. I'm always walking. I don't have a printer in my office. I take the 15 steps, to and back, 30 steps total, to the printer multiple times a day. I walk to the bathroom. I do all sorts of stuff. I just enjoy, less grinding on the body and just always moving. And then by the end of the day, because of all the walking, I'm not as tired. The walking also allows me to do the calisthenics that I do, and to do I do enjoy heavy weights. And I know you're like, oh, well, heavy weights is bad for you, or you may not be. But the point being is, I want to lift heavy at this point in my life. I want to maintain my muscle. I want to try and grow some muscle if that's even possible for a 51-year-old man. But I enjoy that. It's something that I enjoy, and I do it safe and in a way where, I'm getting a stretch and I'm feeling good about that. So when I look at walking, I'm looking at this is something I can do when I'm 90, 100, 150, however long I choose to, bless this, or however long the earth, or I don't know, God blesses me to be here, right? And I know I can do this forever, and it's something that I enjoy and I want to do, and it's for my long-term health. And slowing down also is something that I've needed to do. So when I'm out walking, I just feel like I'm there, I'm slowed down. I can also do some work while I'm walking. I can dictate things, I can talk, I can remember the memories and put those in and create. Heck, I thought of this podcast while I was walking. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in listening to audiobooks and all sorts of stuff where I can help my mental, growth. So what's cool, like in the morning, I'll listen to an educational podcast or some sort of spiritual podcast. I'll walk the dog, I'll get my steps in, and I'm already, 5,000 steps in before it's 7 o'clock in the morning, which is great. So quitting running for me, it wasn't about giving up. Now that I think about it, it was really about, leveling up. And leveling up with walking, yes, there's many different facets of things that you can do when you walk. Like I have a vest that I wear, it's about 10 pounds, and I'll go and I'll walk through the trails with it. On some of my walks, it feels good. I used to put a 50-pound sandbag on my back, and that was really bad. Okay, DeLo, let's chill and let's walk and let's do something that's less stressful, and then let's go put 50 pounds on your back and see how that feels. Again, it's fun to do every now and then, but when I was making that a regular routine, it became too much, and the body was really suffering from it. So I will walk with a 10-pound vest. There's a really cool one that my friend Al had made, Aeon or whatever is the name of it. It's awesome, and it fits you like a body glove, and then I put a hoodie over it, and people don't even know that I have any weight on. Sometimes I'll go to the mountain and I will hike briskly up the mountains. Maybe I'll trot a little bit on the straightaways, and that's good too. I love doing all that sort of stuff. I don't miss, honestly, the races that much. Again, it was a lot, and if you all have done a race out there, I don't know how much they cost now, but I remember those half marathons. I traveled all over the US when I was single, because I wanted something kind of creative and fun to do and athletic. But what was weird is, like, I would go out, I would drink too much. This is back in my drinking days, after a race thinking that I deserved it and I earned it. And it was not a healthy environment for me in that sense. And so I would spend hundreds, maybe $1,000 just to go to a race, to fly there, to get a hotel, to run it. The registration on the race alone was probably $175 just to get that coveted medal and say that I ran. But I have no regrets. There's a lot of great memories and a lot of great different cities and routes and people that I ran into, and that was fun. And so I really think that if you just find what works for you and you stick with it, as long as it's not damaging your soul or your body, or you're not like, necessarily getting into it, not looking forward to it, it's all healthy, it's all good for you. I also enjoy walking for business. When you look at a business setting, and a lot of times people will go to a coffee shop and they'll sit there, right? And they'll sit there for an hour and they'll talk, and I think that's great. And not for everybody, but sometimes I'll set up coffee meetings where I will be like, hey, let's go meet at this place, and let's go walk a couple miles while we talk. And people are pretty open to that. It's actually pretty fun and amazing to do, because when you get that back, the conversation's good, you got the mojo flowing, you got the blood flowing, and everybody feels like they've accomplished something while they're drinking their coffee and just taking a little bit of a walk. And then the other thing too, I was in the mall the other day, and I remember when I was a kid, there was a place called PV Mall. It no longer exists. They mowed that shit down. And now they're building, a greater and better mall where apartments are, this is a total side tangent, but I heard that like a 2-bedroom apartment or condo or whatever they're calling them at the new PV Mall, it's like $3,700. $3,700 for a 2-bedroom apartment style place. I could be wrong, but that was just what I heard the other day. Absolutely nuts. So anyways, PV Mall, I remember going there as a kid, and I would wait for the malls or the stores to open in the morning. And who knows where I was going or what I was doing. It was probably to go get, music or something back when they sold them in the malls. And I would see these old people at the time, they're probably in their 40s, right? And I'm a kid, maybe older. And they would just be walking around the mall, like in circles, walking the whole perimeter of the mall. Because they would open up the mall like an hour early for people to just go walk around before all the stores inside the mall walked. And I would just laugh and it'd be like, what are these people doing? And now I found myself at Scottsdale Fashion Square yesterday. I was waiting for my wife to come, and I had gotten there a little bit early. We were meeting up there to go get massages at her favorite massage. Again, another great thing. Massage is amazing. You get to wear all your clothes. You go face down, and those guys and gals, selective girls, they go in there and they get it done. I love it, and it's really cheap. So we were waiting because we were gonna meet up and get massages there. And I just found myself just walking around the mall, walking around the perimeter, getting my extra steps in before my wife got there. And I'm laughing. I'm like, I am one of those mall walkers now. I am super mall walker. So now they have like these outdoor malls, which in the summertime, probably not too conducive to, walking around, but it's still fun. Okay. So as we get into seasons of life, and as we have little time, less time, more things to do, more responsibility, how do we stay physically fit, active, feeling healthy, moving our body and all those things? And that to me is why I married walking, because I knew that was gonna help me keep there. It was gonna help me keep myself into the shape that I want to be in, because I know when I look and I feel and my clothes fit the same way, I have the energy like I have this morning, and every day I'm so blessed with health that this is just another tool in the toolkit that is unprecedented. It's the best thing ever. So if you're listening to this and you ever want to go for a walk, just hit me up and let me know. But give it a try. If you haven't gone out and created something to where you're trying to do 10,000 steps a day, I think that's like 6 miles, something like that. believe it or not, it sounds like a lot when you go to miles and even like, the thousands of steps or whatever, but it's very doable. It's very doable if you switch some of your sitting activities for moving activities and just go out and do it and just enjoy it. Enjoy nature, enjoy the outside, enjoy the mall, enjoy the people, enjoy the environment that you're in. And just a huge advocate of utilizing walking as a tool to help you not just with your mindset, your physical set, but even business types of things. And hell, if you're even going to go golfing, and you can walk the course, it's just great for you. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. I appreciate you all listening. Again, please subscribe to this. Please share this. I try to keep them within 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, just so that you guys get a little morsel of DELO on a weekly basis. And by all means, check out the mastermind if you're into that. If you want to just be part of, speaking of community, maybe we'll do a group walk, right? Depending on where you're at. If you want to fly out here to Scottsdale, if you're not here. And again, 5-star it. Give me a comment if you can. I just appreciate all of you listening. And until next time, peace out.